I am Asia Minervini. You can't see me, I'm sharing my screen at the moment, but I am Asia Minervini. I am the admissions manager for Dwight School, Dubai. I am going to be moderating this webinar, which I'm really excited about. It is a webinar focusing on the IB curriculum and how it helps facilitate the development of the 5 most powerful life skills. Our main host, who is going to be leading us through this webinar, is Miss Sarah Sankari, who is actually our associate head of lower school. She is a very, very passionate educator. She has over 10 years of IB experience. She actually is an IB workshop leader as well. She is going to be taking us through a presentation where we, as I mentioned, will be focusing on how the IB helps students develop these powerful life skills. Then we will be going on to hearing from our students. We want to hear about their experience, and we have 4 students that are joining us. Zachariah, who is in grade 2. We have Gabriella in grade 3, Narain in grade 4, and Hamid in grade 5. Each one of them will discuss a skill that they have developed while being here at Dwight School. So I think we'll hand it over to Miss Sankari.
Thank you, Asia, and thank you to all of the students who are joining us today and to all of the participants. Good morning, everybody. As Asia mentioned, I am Sarah Sankari, and I am Associate Head of Lower School and PYP Coordinator at Dwight. I am also a parent to 2 kids who go to Dwight School, so I look at it from all different aspects and sides of it. Today we're going to unpack approaches to learning, which is one of the most important aspects of the IB, and we are looking at the 5 most powerful skills as per the IB. What is it that we think our students need to know and have to enable them to be independent learners and to enable them to be successful in the future? Ms. Asia, next, please. So to start with, and I know we won't be having a sharing session. I wish we could have a sharing session and we could see you face to face, but basically I just wanted to give us 1 minute, and I know my 4 students would also love to do that, and I know you've done that many times in the classroom, but just take a minute and think, what's the most important skill in your daily life? And using one of our strategies, what makes you say that? So just take 1 minute and think, what is a skill that I use every day? What is a skill that I need in my daily life? What is a skill that I feel if I didn't have or use, I am going to be extremely lost or confused, or my day would not work properly? I mean, I'll let you think about it, and I will share my own experience. I think personally, to me, planning on organization is extremely important. And because I have 2 kids and I have a full-time job, and because there are lots of things involved in our daily life, to me, being able to be planned and know how the day is going to start and how the day is going to end, what the meals are going to look like, what time do we leave the house, what do we need to have in place before we leave. So just that planning and organization part is something that I really value to keep the routine going and to keep us going. I mean, I would have loved to say it's multiplication or a geography skill, but the reality of the situation is, while these skills are extremely important, we probably don't use them in our daily life. So just thinking about it from what is a skill that is extremely important to you, and what is a skill that you use, if not daily, very often in your life. And that is where the idea of, we don't only teach students what they need to know and learn, we also help students get equipped with what they need to be able to do in their daily life to be successful. Is Asia next? So just quickly looking at the IB's take on that, and this is in the new enhanced version of the IB enhancement that was released a couple of years ago, and talking about ATL skills and the importance of ATL skills in a student's education. The ATL skills, the way the IB looks at those skills, come in 5 categories, which we will unpack. And of course, it needs to be age appropriate, and we look at those skills depending on the age of the students, and we incorporate them in our daily lessons and units. But our aim is to make sure that our students become self-regulated learners, that they don't depend on us to learn, and that they can actually ask a question on their own, set an effective goal, and just with determination make sure that they are getting this goal achieved. And for them to be able to do that, there are a set of skills that we prepare them to be able to go through and master throughout their learning journey, for them to, as they grow and as they take more responsibility in MYP and upper school, they can manage their time, handle their tasks, and be responsible learners on their own independently. So just kind of looking at the big picture of what are the 5 skills before we dig deeper into what each skill is. And I know that my 4 students will help unpack how they use these skills in the classroom. But looking at what these skills are, we're looking at thinking skills, research skills, communication skills, social skills, and self-management skills. So from an IB perspective, we believe that for students, learners, adults, everybody to be successful, we need to have a proper preparation of these skills, a proper education through these skills, ensuring that we can actually manage situations and do research on our own and communicate our thinking and think in different ways and work with others. From an IB perspective, if learners have an understanding and are able to do these skills, then they will end up growing up to learn more and be more equipped to be independent learners. Because the reality is, the world that we're living in now is not the world that our kids will be living in 20 years. Just like the world we're living in now is not the same one that we had 20 years ago. So in a sense, we stop and we reflect on lots of things that we learned in school and we learned in university, and we go, was that really important? Is that valid? Or did I really need to learn more how to learn so that I can do it on my own? Because life will keep changing. Are we equipped enough to deal with this change? And are we equipping our kids to deal with the change as they grow up and things change and look very different? Ms. Asia, next, please. So just to look at different skills through looking deeply at what the skill looks like. And this is a major part of our planning in the classroom, our preparing for units of inquiry, and our preparing for day-to-day inquiries. When we look at thinking skills, we break it into critical thinking, we break it into creative thinking, transfer, which also includes reflection. For us to be able to be critical thinkers, we're analyzing, we're evaluating, and we're forming decisions. Think on a daily basis how many decisions you need to make. For us to teach students how to make decisions, how to take all aspects of a decision, how to make an informed decision based on consequences, pros and cons. This is a skill that we assume that our students know, that we need to make sure we are giving them enough exposure to making a decision when they're not on the spot, so that when they are on the spot, they can actually make more informed decisions, and that can be something that they get used to and they don't stress about. Along with analysis and evaluating situations, we also have creative thinking skills. Our world is all about creativity and new things and making new things work and taking things that are maybe not working to the best of the way they can and using them in different ways and thinking of things in different ways and problem solving and connecting ideas. So we want students to have a lot of exposure so that when they get to a situation where they are coming up with a new idea, it is based on them tweaking a different idea or them knowing enough about other ideas to be able to identify a problem and come up with a solution. We also look at transfer as a skill. We in the IB believe that there's no point in me teaching students how to learn something in the classroom that they will not be able to use outside the classroom. So how are students being able to transfer this knowledge? How are they being able to use new technologies, apply the skills to their daily life, apply the skills to when they go home or when they work with different groups of students or when they go to different places. So what we do in the classroom is a lot of teaching students how to think and thinking out loud and talking about our thinking and questioning ourselves and thinking again and reflecting. And metacognition is a very important skill because we can try to understand how we learn and what works for us and how we think, because that is a way for us to move our learning forward if we know enough about our thinking process and we can actually share it. We unfortunately in previous times cared a lot about the product. It is not the product that we want to look at, it's the process, it's the thinking. Because being able to understand the process enables the teacher to understand what is my next step? How can I help that student overcome a misconception or come up with a new idea or solve a problem?
Actually, Ms. Sankari, I wanted to jump in because I could say that when I was in school, that was a major frustration for me, is learning content that I didn't understand how I was ever going to use it in the real world in my daily life. And I could say that that's one thing that I see across the school, that we are always, sometimes you say, answering this question, so what? You know, why is this information important and how will you use it outside of the classroom? And I think that's really important nowadays. So
it's the real life connections, Asia. I totally agree with you. And answering the so what question, what can I do with this? The more I can answer the so what question, the more I know that this learning is valuable and is going to be transferred and used in real life.
Yes. Should I, next slide?
Yes, please. Yes. So the next skill we move to is research skills, and research skills start as early as pre-K. They look different and they are different as the students grow up, but we want to make sure that students get to a stage where they can research on their own. I can say my new thing is researching recipes and new ideas and new ways of kind of looking at a healthy lifestyle. And for us to do that, I mean, it's great that we can dig out a recipe that our parents gave us or that we found somewhere, but there is more to research that we need to teach our students on daily basis, because the world, as we said, is changing. And if we are not up to date with how to research and how to find information, then we are outdated. So the way we look at research as information literacy, media literacy, and the ethical use of research. When we talk about information literacy, how am I asking the question? How am I planning to find the information? How am I gathering the information? Who am I asking? Which website am I looking for? Which resources am I looking for? Which books am I using? Can I speak to an expert? Can I look at the same information from different sources and make sure that this information is correct? And how am I recording it? Because recording is an important skill. How do I take notes? How do I make sure that when I go back to these notes, I can read them and understand them and they answer the questions and they take me forward? Synthesizing and interpreting, how am I interpreting the different sources, putting everything together, and how am I coming up with my own understanding and my own information and getting to a different stage with now, how do I evaluate this and communicate it? Because we want students to be able to go through research and then communicate the research to others in different ways. And that's something that we teach in the classroom. of course, we focus on research as part of using media and using different sources such as books and experts. But with using media, we want to make sure that the students use their critical thinking skills to find information online, consider different perspectives and different online perspectives. I mean, I do have the belief that you find what you want to find. If you're asking a question, you can find the answer that you want. And we want to teach our students to get past that, to see different perspectives and to use their thinking skills to evaluate the information that they find and how they use it, and to create their new understanding of it. And how do they create then a way to represent this information and to put all of these sources together. And of course, when I say that, of course, that's not as early as pre-K. We start as early as pre-K with collecting the information, maybe collecting things around the classroom. As they grow, we give them the sources and then we teach them how to find the sources. This is end of grade 5, preparing them for upper school. And I know Hamid is going to talk a little bit about exhibition and unpacking how that prepares us for upper school, and how we use these skills efficiently and effectively by the time we end grade 5. And then the last bit of research skills is ethical use and the reliability of sources. It's very important that we don't claim that others' ideas are our ideas and that we give people credit, just like we want people to give us credit for our ideas and our thinking, and making sure that the sources that we use are reliable, because if we are being responsible to communicate information and ideas, we want to make sure that we are doing the right thing and passing on the right information. Research looks very different. It can be differentiated, it can be open-ended, it can be more focused on resources that this teacher gives the students. It also depends on what are we researching. Is it a math concept? Is it a unit of inquiry concept? It does look different, but it definitely guides our learning throughout the PYP years, because we want students to be responsible for their learning and we don't want to hand them the information, hand them the knowledge. It's the skill of finding the knowledge that we want to make sure that the students have and use in their daily life. Next, Ms. Asia, please. Thank you. We then come to communication skills, which is broken into exchanging information, literacy, and ICT. Exchanging information, as it implies, is the listening, speaking, and interpreting. A lot of what we do focuses on how do I pass on a message, how do I share my ideas, and how do I listen to others. We often find that people are trying to always get used to listening to others, to listen and not just to answer. And we want to teach our students to listen to each other, to evaluate and to kind of value the information that comes from other sources, and then learn how to take turns to speak, and learn when to speak, how to make eye contact, and how to speak in a volume that others can hear and understand, and what tone do we use, and how to negotiate ideas, and how to use different mediums to actually communicate with our others, and how do we interpret, whether it is different forms of communication like body language, like different symbols and signs and sounds. How do we interpret this information? How do we interpret body language? How do we interpret the different tones, the different ways the messages are being passed on? These are crucial in our daily life, and these can make or break a conversation. And we want students to be very well equipped with these skills. Another aspect of the communication skills is literacy. One way of passing information is through reading and writing. We write our ideas and we organize them, and we make sure that we use a specific voice and tone in our writing, but we also read others' ideas and we interpret them in our way. It's interesting, we had a grade 5 workshop just earlier today, and the students said, we did not know that reading and writing are communication skills. We just thought we read and write. And it's interesting for our students to also unpack what these skills mean and why do they count as communication skills. And if I am not able to communicate face-to-face and I'm writing, how can I pass on my message? And then moving to ICT, and I mean, what we're doing now is a clear example of different ways of communication and different ways of us reaching. And of course, with social media and with us using different platforms, just being conscious about the choices and messages we communicate, and not passing on information that's not accurate. How are we represented via media, and how are we making informed choices with our digital media footprint? And how do we teach that to students as part of them communicating? Because we want them to use these different platforms, but we also want to make sure that they are using those communication platforms responsibly. So for us, communication is crucial. It's part of our daily life at school, but also outside school, with people we know, with strangers, with adults, with different nationalities. And it is us being able to unpack all aspects of communication to be able to have effective communication with people around us, which will lead to learning and to challenging our personal ideas.
Sorry, I'm just going to butt in really quickly. I really love the ICT version, because in this day and age, students and children, adults even, are using, media as one of their number one forms of like communication. And so I really love that at a young age, we're talking about what type of choices are you making when you are online, and how are you portraying yourself when you are online, and what type of information are you giving out online, and is that information real? Because that could be passed along and shared to other people. So I really love that is in the communication skills, and it's something that our students are learning about at a young age.
And that, Asia, is what we take pride in as an IB community. This is part of the enhancement. This was not here a couple of years ago,
Sure.
but it is us reflecting on, if ICT and if media is being used this heavily, do we have part of our skills to prepare our students for this? And that's what makes the IB framework a framework that supports learning in every place and time, because we keep reflecting, and we not only do we teach the reflection skills, but we actually go through them. ICT has just been added recently. It was only the exchanging information and the literacy, but we found the need to add an aspect that tackles digital media and ICT, because we found how much it's being used, and it's important to teach our students to use it.
Definitely. Okay, I'll move on to the next skill.
The next skill is self-management skills, and it is a very important skill. It's extremely interesting, because we assume that just because we tell kids, can you organize yourself? Can you please manage your time? That's not easy. It's not an easy skill. I think as adults, we continue to learn it on a daily basis. We continue to learn how to do checklists and to-do lists, and how to manage ourselves, and how to prioritize, and what am I prioritizing based on how am I managing my time, and getting into a routine, and making realistic estimates. It's interesting, because we sometimes say to kids, you still have 10 minutes. And what does 10 minutes mean? How do we teach 10 minutes? So we spend time explaining to kids the importance of goal setting, of managing oneself, of making a to-do list and going through it and prioritizing, being effective about our time, and documenting our learning. But also we spend time showing students different ways of keeping time. What does time mean? When I time myself for 10 minutes, how can I keep track that I still have 2 minutes? Am I on task? These are all skills that we need to teach our students. We cannot assume that just because we said to our students, can you please make sure you finish this in 30 minutes, that our students will be able to time themselves and go like, okay, it's been 10 minutes, I need to pace myself. I need to go quicker, or I need to go slower. So this is part of our daily and kind of unpacking these skills in the classroom, and making sure that we are discussing them, talking about them enough. When a student keeps missing that time management aspect, are we sitting and reflecting and going, what's happening? Am I getting distracted? Am I too slow? Why am I too slow? Do I need to change what I'm doing? All of these are conversations and skills that are extremely important to prepare our students to do these skills independently and to be successful in life. And And then looking at states of mind, which is extremely important, mindfulness and being able to focus in the moment and what do I need to calm myself, what works for me, how can I persevere and keep trying, and how do I act upon challenges, and when I'm frustrated, what do I do? Do I just throw a tantrum, throw things apart and go like I'm not going to do it anymore? How do I manage my emotions? When I'm stressed, what do I do? We want students to unpack these aspects, because this is not just something that parents worry about or something you do in your own time. It affects learning. And if it affects being able to tackle tasks, then it's important. How can we keep students motivated? How can this be intrinsic? Because we don't want students to only do it because we ask them to. We don't want students to only do it because they will get a sticker or whatever. That's why we do not believe in the IB. For us, it's self-motivation. How can I keep students motivated to learn and to be better learners and to do things better and in a more effective way? And are we resilient? What happens when things don't work, when the plan doesn't work, when I need to reflect and change? Am I going, I give up, I can't do this anymore? And yes, we will have lots of times where we have this feeling, but then what do we do? And how do we teach our students to stop, take a moment, and then try again? So these skills are unfortunately sometimes underestimated, and the importance of these skills are underestimated. But if we have students who continuously can't manage their time and get emotionally frustrated in the classroom that they can't tackle tasks, no matter how much knowledge they know and how much research they can do, it will not take them anywhere. It's important to keep all aspects of learning included, and the IB looking at the different aspects of it, not just looking at research, thinking, and communication, but also how do we make sure that we are managing ourselves and managing our time and managing our planning and organization to get through the tasks and to get through the learning. And last but not least, again, another underestimated skill at times is the social skills, because we also assume that just because we put kids together in a group, that the kids will be able to work together. The IB breaks it into intrapersonal and interpersonal. With intrapersonal, it is me and my self-control and my emotional intelligence. How do I read situations? How do I empathize with others? How do I make fair decisions? How do I react when I'm upset, when I'm angry? Am I going to cry every time something happens? How do I speak up for myself? But also the other very important aspect of it is the interpersonal skills, and dealing with others, respecting others, supporting others, how to have social intelligence to act in a group and to work in a group and to cooperate and to take a different role. And then how do we resolve a conflict, which happens a lot between students in life on a smaller scale level, on a bigger scale level. So how am I being able to tackle these situations? And this is another important point that we came across in our grade 5 workshop, because students said, we didn't think that these skills are skills. We thought we just do them, which is, of course, you just do them. And of course, they're in our daily life. But if we do not give students scenarios of conflict and teach them how to think of different resolutions, how do we expect them to deal with conflict? And how do we expect them to reflect on their decisions? It is very important to take that social aspect, because it is what regulates and allows us to be working in groups, which is basically everything nowadays. You don't often do something on your own. You do it with a group or with a partner or with a team. And it's important for us to explicitly teach our students these skills. Ms. Asia, I'm mindful of the time, and I do want to give students, if you can get me quickly through the coming couple of slides just to show that we do, and I do have an example from our morning session as well of us sorting the skills into the different, sorting the sub-skills into the different skills and reflecting on what is it that I think I can do, what is it that maybe my parents or my teacher or my advisor thinks that I can do, and what am I working on, what am I improving, because it's important for us to reflect on the skills that we need to work on? And if it is time management or if it is research, then what am I doing to improve in these skills? These are just a couple of reflections pulled where we get students to be able to unpack what they think they did well today, or what did they think they can do well lots of times and all the time, and what is it that they're going to continue to work on, and what type of a learner I am, what am I still working on, what are things that I can do, what are things that I cannot do. It's very important for us to unpack our strengths and areas of development, and to put a plan to improve and to grow when it comes to these skills, because then our learning grows when we can actually reflect and understand our strengths and areas of development. Ms. Eja, do we want to hear our students talk a little bit?
Yes, let's do that. So now we will go into speaking with our students who have been patiently waiting. I think we will start with, oh, what happened to Zachariah? There's Zachariah. I think we will start with Zachariah, who is in grade 2. And he is going to be talking about a skill that he has learned, one of these 5 powerful skills that he has learned here at Dwight School. Zachariah, do you want to unmute yourself? There you go. Perfect.
Hello, my name is Zachariah, and today I'm going to be talking about the skill communication. Communication is a skill that we all use to share thoughts and ideas with one another. We communicate by talking, using our hands, and even our facial expressions, like when we frown or when we moan. It helps us develop positive relationships, and we grow as we learn to communicate better. I have learned how important communication is whilst being in a class and outside school. When I work in a group, I use my communication skills to share ideas with a friend, talk to my teammates, and help them make a plan. By building up my communication skills, I had the confidence to share my thoughts on how we do things that challenge you during Dwight School's first diversion talk in February 2020. This led me to an opportunity to use my communication skills in front of a bigger audience during a recent TEDx event. Thank you for the opportunity to let me communicate with you.
Thank you. And I'm really looking forward to seeing your TEDx talk. I know that it was published on YouTube, so I'll be sure to have a look at that, okay? Thank you, Zachariah. Now we are going to move to Gabriele. Gabriele, do you want to unmute yourself and tell us about the skill that you learned at Dwight School?
Okay. My name is Gabriel, and I will talk about social skills. Social skills are all about how we communicate with other people. Those are not just for school. No, those skills are not just for school. They are important in every part of our life. We are trying to learn about different parts of social skills and respect skills like respecting others, supporting others, having social intelligence, and resolving conflict. Respecting others is when you're being kind to people. You can show respect by saying please, thank you, and how are you. In class, we show respect by listening to each other and understanding other people's opinions. Supporting others is how well we can help our families, friends, and anyone else in the world. You can support others in many different ways. You can speak up for your friends if they can't explain something or help uh, help them achieve their goals in any way. Social intelligence is when you know that my actions and word will impact others. We work in groups a lot. It's important. It is important to let others have a chance to speak, especially uh, where is it? Especially if they do not like to talk and speak as much as I do. Resolving conflict is how well you solve problems together. Conflict means that people do not agree with each other's. Resolving conflict is making them understand each other's point of view in a way that is kind and fair. Sometimes we act scenarios in our class to work on those skills, but we resolve conflict. What to, wait a second. So, I would do it again because I was lost.
That's okay. But I'm sure that you use a lot of these social skills on the playground, right? Resolving conflict on the playground. Yeah.
No, we use it even at home a lot of times when we are playing the game, when you're choosing the TV channel with my brother, and we play a game a lot of times with my friends, my mom, my dad, my family.
That's
we
great.
can
So
play even a
you
game with
skills at home. That's
Yeah.
really great. All right, great. Thank you so much, Gabriella.
I'm not done, only 2 lines and then I'm done.
Okay, perfect.
The skills are super important because we all need to communicate, help, and support each other all the time. Bye.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. Narain, would you like to talk about the skill that you've learned here at Dwight School?
Yeah, okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Noreen. I'm from grade 4. My topic today is research. First, we get our research topic from my teacher, or we choose a topic we are interested in. Sometimes we work individually, but most of the times we work in groups. When in groups, every team member will research their topic on their own, and later we will sit together and discuss the information we found. For example, each of us look at the subject given to us on Google or Safari and books. We collect all the right information we can find on the subject. Later on, all of us in the group will bring the information we have found, and we will decide together what parts will go in our final presentation. We learn skills like paraphrasing and summarizing. We learn what plagiarism is, and to avoid it, we make research notes where we write our information in our own words. Here are some examples of research projects we work on. I choose the topic photography in our How We Express Ourselves unit. We gathered information about photography. We recorded the information in our book. As a part of research notes, we communicated what we learned during our presentation. During our heritage project, we researched about our heritage and our country. During our How the World Works unit, we did a project about creating an eco-house, which made me knowledgeable. We gathered a lot of information about renewable energy, and I learned new scientific words. Also, during my research, I learned about sustainable materials and technology as I communicated my research to my class on Google Slides. Research skills have made me more knowledgeable and a communicator as I shared the information with my classmates. Thank you.
Wow, Narayan, a lot of those skills that you learned, I probably didn't learn until I was in middle school. So it is really, really impressive that you have learned about plagiarism and other topics around research at the age of, well, in grade 4. So I'm really impressed. Thank you for sharing.
Thank
All right, we are gonna go to Hamid now. Hamid is going to discuss one of the skills that he's learned at Dwight School. Do you want to unmute, Hamid?
Yeah, thanks, Ms. Aisha. So my name is Hamid. I'm in grade 5, and today I will be speaking to you about the self-management skills. I think the self-management skills are very important because without them, you wouldn't be able to do anything. You wouldn't be able to know where all your stuff is, and you wouldn't be able to manage yourself at all. Now, actually, we are doing the exhibition in grade 5, and we are starting our planning. And so we have to split into groups, and sometimes we even have to help the teachers. They're actually setting up a website now, and we have to help them like put a logo and stuff like that. And it turns out also that your self-management skills also help you regulate your feelings. So basically, your self-management skills are like you learn the self-management skills and when you're really young, and you keep using them till you grow up. And when you even through college, I know people who always sometimes even have trouble with their self-management skills. So they also help you with your actions and thoughts, and they also say that if you're good at your self-management skills, you tend to be more successful at your work because your self-management skills help you stay positive and to boost up your independence. For example, some things that could help me keep myself on track are like making lists or writing on sticky notes. Something that I always do is I put alarms and I write what I need on the alarms and when it happens, and then I would basically always be pretty much on time. So you need your self-management skills for tons of things, such as being on time, helping your feelings and thoughts. My self-management skills help me a lot, and that's why I think your self-management skills are very important.
I have to agree with you. I use the alarm method as well. I use little alarms and reminders on my phone to help me remember where I need to be or what I need to turn in. So I actually use that method as well as an adult. Thank you so much, Hamid. Thank you to all of our students on the student panel. You guys are really risk takers for joining us during this webinar and speaking about the skills that you have learned being at Dwight School. I am looking at the time and we are running out of time. I do want to open it up to see if anybody has any questions. But I do feel like it was very thorough, Ms. Sankari. I don't see.
Yeah, I think it was great. Thank you to our first students who were talking about how they use them in the classroom and also at home, outside the classroom, because that is the whole point of us learning these skills, right? It's not just to use them in the classroom, but to see how do we use them on a daily basis. And that's why we think these skills are very powerful. So yes, well done, everybody. You did a great job, and you definitely all used your self-management skills because you all made it on time and you all were ready to speak and you thought about what you wanted to say. So good job, everybody. And in reflection, using one of the skills, you did great. Well done.
Guys, we do not have any questions, so we're going to go ahead and end. Thank you to all of our attendees for joining. Thank you to all of our panelists for taking time out of your day to join. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Bye, everybody.